All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our session today, Building Inclusive Gender Expansive Communities. Before we begin, I want to cover some housekeeping items. This session will be recorded. Please leave your cameras off and microphones muted throughout the session. If you have any questions, please use the Q&A feature. We will get to as many of them as we can at the end of our session. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our speaker, Lisa Koenecke. As an experienced and energetic diversity, equity, and inclusion professional speaker and facilitator, Lisa specializes in counteracting unconscious bias and LGBTQ plus inclusion in business. Her impact is amplified through strengthening each person's allyship. Lisa, we're so excited you're with us this afternoon.
Jennifer, the pleasure is all mine. And for those of you who are listening, this is a Wisconsin accent. So Jennifer, can I go ahead and start?
It is all yours.
Excellent. Oh, my friends. So as you wait on me, because I am of the 53-year-old generation. So I'm just wondering, Jennifer, what can you see right now?
I can see your fantastic screen that says Building Inclusive Gender Expansive Communities.
Rock and roll, my friends. I am so honored to be here with all of you. So normally I would say that I am coming to you from the land of the Ho-Chunk Nation in Wisconsin. I'm currently in Austin, Texas. So I'm coming to you from the indigenous land here in Austin, presenting to you in North Carolina. It's fun. It's exciting to be here. And I would love to commend Jennifer and the rest of the committee on all of the work that you are doing. For those of you who are joining us, this is the last presentation of the day. Woohoo! Exciting. And what I would love to tell you is that I was a camp director for 25 years, a middle and a high school counselor for 12, a professor for 5, training the next generation of school counselors. And now I am a DEI speaker and I go all over the country. And I received my certification from Cornell University. And so what I would love to do is wherever I go, I like to do a land acknowledgement. So my friend who put that into the Q&A, it is an honor for me to do this. And a land acknowledgement, some people know what they are, some people don't know what they are, but this is actually for you to take a look at real quick. So it's just connecting to the land that we are on. And again, knowing that I am walking where footsteps have gone before me. And so much so, especially in the LGBT world, that it gives me the honor and the privilege to speak on behalf of all of the people who have blazed trails for me. So land acknowledgement there. Another thing that I like to do sometimes is a labor acknowledgement. And as I'm going across the country, wherever you are joining us, if you are in North Carolina, or if you're watching this at another time because it's recorded, there's also a thing with the labor acknowledgement, knowing that, and I travel a lot. So in the hotels, it's not necessarily forced labor here, but all of the amenities, you at the university, some of that might have been built with forced labor. So that's my labor acknowledgement. And then I always do an acknowledgement for those who have served in the military. If you have served in the military, or if your family has served in the military, I just wanted to thank all of you for that. In the world of LGBTQ plus, I will get into all of that. By now, you might even know what all of that means, but there's a thing called two-spirit. If you work with any people who are indigenous, they might also identify in the LGBT world as well as their indigenous heritage that they have as well. And so it would be two-spirit. That's the intersectionality that comes together. I'm not going to show this video to you just because of the length. But if you wanted to, and you could do this now because I won't see you again, I was a college professor. Do what you want to do, my friends. On YouTube, if you were to look up Geo Neptune, that's Geo's name right there, and type in two-spirit, there's a 6-minute video, and Geo is indigenous, uses they, them pronouns, and explains what two-spirit is. So do feel free to check that out if you would like to. So this is where we're getting into the gender expansion and all of these things with inclusion as well. As you look at the picture of Geo, to the right of Geo, there is a two-spirit flag. You'll know that it's two-spirit because of the eagle feathers that are on it. So again, I'm going to get into the flags a little bit later, but just know that with the eagle feathers on there, more than likely it is probably Two-Spirit flag. Now, you're probably thinking, at the end of the day, I sure hope this lady shows us a picture of a beaver and a lady in a tiara. Welcome, my friends. Yes, absolutely. So that is a beaver. You probably have them in North Carolina. We do in Wisconsin. And I was our school mascot growing up. Thank you very much. We were the Beavers. In addition to being a beaver in the 1900s, that's me over on the right as homecoming queen. Yes, my friends, you are with royalty. Lisa Koenecke, homecoming queen, circa 1987. You can call me Queen Beaver, Beaver Queen, whatever you want to do, that just works. The reason I love doing these presentations is growing up, I didn't know it was an option to be gay. In fact, the town where I grew up, population 5,000, one stoplight, one fast food restaurant. The biggest difference, you were either Lutheran or you were Catholic. I was raised Lutheran. I was forbidden to date a Catholic boy, but they never said anything about a Catholic girl. Okay, so that's the fun part of all of that. So one of the things that when we think about the LGBT community, some people think it's a phase. Some people say, well, I don't know, are you sure? Well, if you ask Lady Gaga, my friends, we are born this way. Yep, that's just the way that it is. And so on this slide, what I have is a reminder. I have a pair of scissors. Now, if I do this in a presentation, I might ask some people, you know, what's on there. For the sake of time, I'm just going to keep moving along with this, and I'll kind of give you the answers to this. So, yep, scissors. The one on the left, for those who were born left-handed. For those of you who were born right-handed like me, that's what our second pair, number 2 pair of scissors was all about. Now, for those of you, and again, I do have a master's in counseling, but we don't have a lot of time to get into this. If you were left-handed and you had to, and again, I'll use my example of my wife. She grew up and went to a Catholic school, left-handed. The nuns kept her in from recess, and she had to practice using a right-handed pair of scissors before she could go out to recess because she was left-handed. Now, I'm happy to say she's still left-handed. So then we get into some of the terminology. Some of you may know this. My apologies. If you don't, please pay it forward on this. Now, 3 out of 10 of us know someone who is trans. And in, I guess the original terminology would be someone would transition M to F, male to female, or F to M, female to male. The new terminology is that when a baby is born, they are assigned female at birth or assigned male at birth. So that's what the AFAB and the AMAB up there are. And the reason I bring this up, my friends, is heavy sigh. If you've ever been to a gender reveal party, do you know it's actually a sex reveal party? You're welcome. You don't have to burst any bubbles or have boxes or anything like this, but this right here is a gender reveal party for someone who is trans, who has transitioned later in life. So again, if you ever do go to a gender reveal party, think about giving cash. You know why? Cash is green. That's a gender neutral color. Let those adults buy whatever they need. Okay, so enough with that. And some people ask me, well, kids are too young to know what's going on. Well, yes, there are a lot of words on this screen, so don't do this. But I wanted to get all of the research in there for you right now. That sometimes research says we know our identity as early as ages 3 to 5. I knew that I was a girl. I knew that I wanted to play with GI Joes and tractors. So tomboy is what was assigned to me. So ages 3 to 5, we know our identity. The average age of people expressing their gender, well, their gender expression would be age 7. So again, if any of you are pre-service and you're thinking about working with youth, just know that this is something that's out there. The research comes from the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles. And if any of you are into cartoons, check out Steven America. Or Steven Universe, I'm sorry. It's not on there. It's not out, but maybe in reruns you can find it. So let's get into how we can do all of this, my friends. I love helping people to show their allyship, especially capital A allyship. So one of the flags that I have for you was actually created June of 2021, and it is the new progress flag. So if you aren't familiar with it, just know this is what it looks like. You've got your rainbow on there. Then you've got the black and the brown chevron. That's what that fancy arrow going to the right is called. And that's to represent our Black and Indigenous people of color. The blue and the pink represent our friends who are trans. The white represents our friends who are questioning, as well as those who have died of AIDS. And then we add in intersex to this flag. Now, some of you are thinking, Lise, cool. What's intersex? Thanks for asking, my friends. I am so excited to explain it to you. Remember when I talked about that baby being born? Baby comes out, hard to determine, maybe from the external genitalia. Look at how like fancy my terminology is, whether they're going to assign male or female to that baby. This would be someone who is born intersex. So doctor or doula will hand the baby to the adult, and then it's up to the adult to determine how they're going to socialize this young human. Is it going to be on the male binary, female binary, or just let the let the child decide for themselves? So again, intersex is the new term for hermaphrodite. So we don't use the term hermaphrodite anymore. That's what intersex is. And when I talk about this and talking about showing your allyship, I talked about being homecoming queen in 1987. That is the beaver from Reedsburg. Yep, that's our school mascot. This was the first year that they have had a gender sexuality alliance, or a GSA, at the high school. So I'm happy to say that that now is the flag or the sticker for all of those Reedsburg beavers out there. So stickers are great. That's one way to show your allyship. Another way to show your allyship is if you ever have seen in some people's email signature, maybe their pronouns are used. So normally, and Jennifer, you are doing this correctly up here. I'm going to even do this while I'm doing it, that you can change your pronouns, as I am doing on my Zoom window right now. I just did that. Look at that. So having your pronouns up there does not mean that you're gay. Yep, I was asked that question once. So it doesn't. What it means to me is I am an ally to our friends who might not use he, she as their pronouns. Maybe it's they, maybe it's a neo pronoun. So dear friends who are out there who use whatever pronoun you want to use, I am an ally. And in my email signature, Lisa Koenecke, she, her. After that, I have the word what's this? Hyperlinked to, if you click on that, it goes to pronouns.org. So you could hyperlink it to wherever you want it to go. So that's another way to show your allyship for our gender expansive community. Inclusive registration forms. These, my friends, are going to be so important. And wherever you are, if you are the next generation, or if you're a Gen Xer like me, this is something that you can change, hopefully without too much red tape. Think about all of the people that come into, whether it's your campus or satellite, whatever it might be. Not everyone identifies as man or male or female. And what it really irks me when I see husband or wife. Are you kidding me? Not everyone is married, especially at your age, if you're younger than I am. Some people are widows, widowers, you get the idea. So inclusive registration forms are going to be the new norm. And that very bottom line down there, mix. Some of you might be using mix as your title or honorific. If you see this, my friends, this again is representing the whole gender expansion that we have under our lovely rainbow of everyone who belongs to our community. Mix is how it's pronounced. And if someone has that, just ask them. Say, that's great. Tell me more about that. If they want to. If they don't push it. Okay, so let's get into the lovely letters today. So just because I'm wearing red today does not necessarily mean that I'm questioning. again, you're smart people. You get the idea. This is just a fun way for me to show you all of the letters that are out there. My guess is you're pretty familiar with the LGB letters. I added 2 T's for you here: transgender, transsexual. We don't use transsexual a whole lot anymore, unless you go to Rocky Horror Picture Show. Highly recommend going to Rocky Horror Picture Show. So trans is cool. Then Q, queer and questioning. I is intersex, A is ally, another A, asexual, agender. There's a lot that go into that. And P is pansexual. Q was added in 2016. And this is what's fun. There's no test today. I know, even as a professor, I'm not going to give you a test. So the Q was added, and I'm letting you know that you don't use the term queer unless someone else uses it first, if that makes sense. So there was this stigma back in the day that queer was bad, even though I go in a whole lot of things for you. Just know that if someone uses the term queer, they're giving you to use that term. And I have a question from a friend asking for a copy of my presentation. Absolutely. I'll make sure that Jennifer knows how to get in touch with you. So LGBTQs, I, intersex, I talked about that, allies. Let's talk about pansexuality. Now, Jennifer, I'm going to try and play a video, and I sure hope that it works. I did click my audio on this one, and I'm not endorsing alcohol, okay? Nor am I endorsing any shows that are out there, but this one's kind of fun. Let's see if it works.
So, just to be clear, I'm a red wine drinker.
That's fine.
Okay, cool. I only drink red wine.
Okay.
And up until last night, I was under the impression that you too only drank red wine. But I guess I was wrong.
I see where you're going with this. I do drink red wine, but I also drink white wine.
Oh.
And I've been known to sample the occasional rosé. And a couple summers back, I tried a Merlot that used to be a Chardonnay, which got a bit complicated.
Okay, yeah, so you're just really open to all wines.
I like the wine and not the label. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
This is just very new to me, so as long as you didn't roll over and cry yourself to sleep with regret, then we're good, right?
No, I absolutely did that. Just wept for hours in the dark. I say we go with this one. It's the biggest.
No, again, the reason that I want to talk about pansexuality is, especially if you are in the world of education, here's a phenomenon that I have seen in all the 50 states that I have presented in. I have a nephew who is neurodivergent, living on the spectrum of autism. And not that he is this, but we have seen across the country more students who are neurodivergent who are also coming out as pansexual. It is a phenomenon that actually I'm okay. I love it actually, because in the world of pansexuality, how it was explained to me is that they love hearts, not parts. So there you go. Hearts, not parts. Let's get into more of the rainbows that are out there. So we have the flags of, you name it, whatever. Now, here's the other thing is that even though there is a flag for the lesbian community, I don't own one, and that's okay. So there are those that are out there. Now, yes, I know that we need to have the modern pride flag updated, but Kate Hildreth had this. It was just a great way to start right there. Jennifer, am I missing any questions? Otherwise I just keep talking. What else am I missing, Jennifer? Is there anything?
No questions, just comments and loveliness. So please continue.
I love loveliness. So let's shift into the next thing that you can do to be more inclusive and to show that you are an ally to our friends who are in this community. Gender expansion, gender expansive, whatever terminology you want to use. Shifting your greetings. So simple. Think about this. Ask your professors, ask whomever you work with to just say, hello, everyone, rather than saying, hello, ladies and gentlemen, which we were brought up to do, right? I grew up in the Midwest. That's what we were taught. And it's not that we are trying to be, it's still respectful to say hello, everyone. It's more inclusive, in my opinion, right? So let's go ahead and let's put boys and girls and ladies and gentlemen over on the side. Hola, right? You're going to have people who speak their native language over English. So just being inclusive with all of those things. And then I actually give you some examples right here. Maybe you're sending an email or a letter. Some of you are going to be looking for jobs. And rather than saying, dear sir or madam, I'm a huge friend of saying, dear selection committee or legends. I mean, that one's on there too. And then emails. We could go back and forth. If Jennifer and I work together, if I wanted to send it to our whole department, I could say team terrific because that's what Jennifer is, or I could say dear colleagues. So again, it's just simple things that we can do rather than ma'am, sir, all of that kind of stuff that's out there. So you've got that. I am now in the South, and so they're saying y'all, and then the Pearl is all y'all. So I'm learning that through my Wisconsin accent. Then we have more pronouns that are here right now. So again, talking about the he, she. I didn't mean to say it that way, okay? Because that's an old derogatory term that we used to be called. So if you use he, great. She, great. For those of you who are like, all right, Koenecke, explain to me the they and the singular. Well, I will, dear friend. They was the most looked up word in 2019, and it's in the Merriam-Webster dictionary. So check it out. Here's an example of how to use they. Okay. Oh, I got one. Okay. So I'm down here in Austin, Texas, and let's say that, I went, I just came out of the bathroom and I see something in there and I'm like, they left their cell phone in the bathroom. I wonder if they know that they left it there. And I wonder if they're going to come back and get their cell phone. See what I did there? It just takes practice. And again, I'm mainly talking to those of us who are older. Those of you who are younger, you might get this. And then we have the fun neo pronouns down at the bottom, gender neutral. However you want to use those, that's great. One caution that I have for pronouns is working with young people. If someone wants to, this could be older too, but I think it's more for the younger people. If someone wants to use the pronoun it, please dissuade them. Please talk to that please talk to that person. I'll just use that terminology because I think that there's something more going on. Usually it's trauma if they're using it. Okay, so that's just something that I like to bring forward when we're talking about pronouns. Sometimes you will see pronouns. And so right now I have she, her, and so does Jennifer. Some people might have a pronoun that is she, they. I have a wonderful video right here to explain a little bit more about that. I am doing a lot with the credit union movement around the country so that the credit unions can get out ahead of other financial institutions to be inclusionary when it comes to those registration forms I talked about, that there won't be a hassle if you want to change some of your, credit cards or something like that. And if you're looking for a loan, maybe there's something that if you want to have a surgery along those lines. So just letting you know, working with the credit union movement. I see that Stephen has turned on Stephen's camera. Stephen, is there something that you wanted to add to this, or you're just excited to be here?
I'm sorry, I was not aware my camera was on. I was just jumping in to I kind of just view things in the background to make sure everything's okay.
You're doing great, Stephen. We're so glad that you were there. And if you're going to leave, you won't offend me. All good. You can stay though, too. I'm not trying to get rid of you, my friend.
Oh, well, I was actually listening to the lobby and just kind of jumped on in.
Fantastic. Love it, love it, love it. So my friends, there is a movement out there called CU Pride. And so it is LGBT people in the credit union movement. This is a video they put together to help a lot of allies just be more inclusive. So it's a 3-minute video and I think it's wonderful. And we are not going to watch it, and that's okay. Welcome to technology. So what I might do, Jennifer, is I might send you the link to that later so that people can take a look at it. One of the things that it talks about, there are two main things that I think come out of this. When someone in our community, if they want to feel seen, it's when someone uses the correct pronouns, or someone asks about those pronouns. So that's seen. Supported is when someone has, maybe I talked about she first and then they. If you use those pronouns in the order that they have been given to you, that's how some people can feel supported. And we know that if you are an ally, and if you start your conversation and say, hi, my name's Lisa, my pronouns are she, her, wow, do we feel understood? So I just wanted to put that out there, seen, supported, and understood. Now, again, for those of you who you're younger than 53 and maybe you have a lot more practice with this, go for it. I'm excited for all of you out there. Jennifer, I see a couple more things that popped up in the Q&A. Anything?
Not a question, really just a comment from Christy. She said, if we really look at how we use they, them, we use it in everyday language in the singular a lot more than we think we do without even thinking about it. And the example that you gave is something a lot of people do on the regular without realizing.
Thank you, Christy. Bravo. Yes, yes, yes. I agree wholeheartedly. And again, my friends, I think that it's going to just take a little bit of practice. You know, we have changed the terminology. You shouldn't be saying this. We don't say that they are a stewardess if they work on a plane anymore. They're a flight attendant. We have a letter carrier who brings us our mail instead of our mailman. So again, these are just things that will just take some practice. And it is all about trying to help our friends who may be using or maybe are non-binary. So this is our little umbrella that I have here. But first, let's take a look at the obligatory cute puppy picture in the upper right-hand corner. Yep, that is my daughter, Madison. We call her Maddie. Yeah, and we have that many rainbows in our house that's just a blanket that she's in right there. I am so proud of Maddie. She's a little teddy bear puppy. She's 5 years old. She was assigned female at birth. And what's amazing about Maddie is that when I take her out to do her business, she lifts her little leg to tinkle. I know, right? I have a gender non-conforming puppy. Thank you. First it was royalty, now my puppy. Maybe you too know a dog who was assigned male at birth and they just squat to do their business. All right, you know what I'm talking about. Mother Nature knows what's going on. So again, Maddie never told me anything. I just support her however I can. Some of the circled terms down there, you may or may not have heard of these. Androgynous. This was back in the day. In fact, there was a Saturday Night Live skit called It's Pat. So way back, just talking about this. What's interesting about that is I think it's Julia Sweeney, who played that character, wishes that she could go back now and do it differently. And maybe there will be a new non-binary character who comes forward, whether it's on Saturday Night Live. You will be seeing more of it in pop culture, I'm sure, moving forward as well. Gender fluid is out there. I'm going to take a sip of water. Sorry, just letting you know that. I had a student who was gender fluid. This was 12 years ago. And so thankfully, the parents were supportive of this student. And I would greet our students. I was a middle school counselor. We had 800 students. I would greet our students at the door every morning. I know. Can you imagine? It was fabulous. In fact, some of the students were like, Miss Koenecke, have you ever thought of decaf? Anyway, so I'd greet the students every day, and the student would come in, and in their gender fluidity, their expression, their expansion, if they were identifying as male that day and using male pronouns, they'd show me a 1. If it were going to be presenting female using female pronouns, a 2. I was ready at the door with my cell phone, and I sent a message to the students' teachers so that they knew how to support that student that day. And I would make sure that substitute teachers knew whoever would have that student. So that's just something that I did as a school counselor to make sure that the student felt supported. Now there's something out there from genderspectrum.org that's called a gender support plan and a gender communication plan. They're free, fillable PDFs that if you are working with anyone, and it's not even in the world of education, let's say that you are a librarian or you work at a rec center, you could have a gender support plan, letting that student help you what restrooms to use, what pronouns, etc. So just letting you know that that is out there. We have friends who are agender, gender nonconforming, GNC, and gender queer. So again, just some of the terms that are out there. Here are some different flags. My apologies that it's kind of hard to see, but the other thing is I'm going to throw in the word fluid here because things change. I was trying to find, I'm like, okay, I need this flag. And it was like, well, okay, some people use this flag, some people, and I was like, that's cool. All that I'm trying to do, my friends, is to bring information forward to all of you to say, there are different flags that are out there. There's different symbols. There's different lots of representation. And just because someone has this flag, the symbol, whatever it is, does not always mean that they are from that identity, that population. So maybe the best example that I have is I have a lot of friends who have children who are bisexual. And so they're heterosexual, but their child is bi. And so they'll have a bi pin. And really what it is it's that education that's out there. They're hoping that someone at the grocery store will ask them about it. And then when they do, they can just explain what's going on. Jennifer, I saw a couple more pop up and I'm thirsty. Anything?
Yes, we have a comment from Lori. I remember it's Pat. She said, I'm also Gen X, and I believe Pat's friend or partner was named Chris.
I'm laughing before you go on. And Jennifer, with that, and to my friend who just put that comment, when it comes to pronouns, if you have a friend named Chris or Terry, those are two that are out there that get misgendered a lot. Wouldn't it be great if we had, our straight allies use their pronouns too? Okay, go ahead, Jennifer. Thanks.
The next comment is, one of the things that was a practice when I worked at the university I went to was referring to everyone as they, them, particularly over email, like when discussing candidates for positions, until getting the opportunity to ask or being offered their pronouns, like via their email signature or resume. It's been something really great to carry on into my professional life, and that's from Alondra. Fantastic comments coming through. I also think we should use, this is from Paula, examples of neopronouns in our multiple choice exams, especially for application questions. Sprinkle in different types of families too. And sorry, go ahead, Lisa.
Yeah, no, I just get so excited. I'm like goosebumps right here. I'm like, yes. And I was doing this way back in the, I'm sorry, I'm yelling. I'll calm down a little bit here. I wanted to get into the math teachers, right? Because of those story problems. Let's not always have Dick and Jane. Okay, I know I'm super old and that kind of stuff, but exactly to whomever said that, using different pronouns, having different names that they've never heard before. I grew up in Lily-White, Wisconsin. And so, you know what, let's do some of that and have different family dynamics and all these things. So hooray. Keep going, Jennifer. Sorry.
Yes, and just one more anonymous comment. I display the trans flag in support of my family member who has transitioned and is now living their amazing life. It's another way I display my allyship and love for them and others.
That is wonderful. And again, I don't think that I complimented the person who said that they have a practice at the university of using they in their candidacy and looking at candidates. How wonderful. And dear person who said that, please pass that on to all the other departments as well, especially those that tend to be a magnet for just a certain type of person or a certain gender or anything like that. So well done, all of you. That is fantastic, which takes us perfectly into, Jennifer, is that okay? Or was there anything else, my friend?
Nope, that's perfect. Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah. And so we talked about how to show your allyship, right? You can have stickers, you can have different things, your pronouns, etc. And then shifting mindsets and perceptions, that's when it comes into the, you know what? Oh, okay, so I'm going to have this pin here, and wow, so you are a parent and you support your parent. That's an awesome shift of what's happening. And the examples that you are all giving, you are shifting as well. So let's shape our policies. What's interesting is whether it is our, you know, economy right now of how things are happening. We've just come out of 2 years of a global pandemic. Sometimes it's hard to find candidates to fill positions. And as we take a look at filling that pipeline, a lot of the younger generation who are going to be taking over for us are taking a look at your policies. They're taking a look at how do you recycle? How sustainable are you? How inclusive are your mission statement, your vision statement, your policies? Where do you use enumeration? And this, my friends, is when I was taking a look at what school districts I wanted to work at, I was literally offered I was 2 jobs on the same day. And so what I did is I went back to both of the school districts and I did another sweep of their policies and such. One school district had sexual orientation enumerated out in their policies. The other one didn't. Guess where I went? Yeah, that's right. So enumeration is important. Title IX is a real thing. And my apologies that I don't know all of the state laws or anything, not anything, what's happening in North Carolina. Well, you did have a big thing happen a little while back here, but what I want to say is that Title IX is a federal law. So in theory, because I'm not a lawyer, if you have an individual and you are a public facility and they want to use the bathroom or the locker room of their choice, by law, they should be able to do that. And then I have another box with the mix in there too, just as a reminder of your inclusionary policies. Here are the bathrooms and the locker rooms that I talked about. Now, Jennifer, I'm going to give this one to you and to everyone out there. You don't have to put balloons by your bathrooms. Just celebrate. But if you want to, that's fine. Okay, so that's just one thing. But there are resources out there, my friends, that you can learn more about this information. And so I have a document on here that's from the MAP project, and you can take a look at that. And it talks about more statistics. For those of you who are way into statistics, you can do that. I'm a fan of the all gender restroom. Not a fan of the third picture over of the, you know what, we're going to wear a dress. Well, actually, did you all know that's a cape? Oh, yeah. That is a person wearing a cape. Well, in my world, it is. But you know what? Let's have diaper changing stations, because it's not just people who are assigned female at birth that can change diapers. Okay. Anyway, so you get the idea that it's important to have this. And what's cool is that I think a lot of, especially universities and tech colleges and 2-year schools and 4-year schools, those in higher ed, all of you, most people are getting it and they're ahead of the curve on that. Some of the terms that you want to take a look at, my friends, are open and affirming. So I told you that I was a high school counselor. And so students would come into me and the question I would ask them is, what do you want to do after high school? I didn't say, what college do you want to go to? I would just say, what do you want to do? And then if the topic of colleges and universities came up, I'd say, great. We would do a little research, open and affirming. That was one thing, having the symbol of the rainbow is out there. But there's also, you can go to Campus Pride. And there we go. We've got the 2022 honorees, best of the best. Now, here's what's fun for me being from Wisconsin is that we have 3 schools from Wisconsin that are listed here. And then it's very exciting. If you are, maybe you're like, okay, that's great. I'm graduating. I'm ready for my next job. I need to find a job. You can also take a look and see if the place where you want to work is one of the best places to work for LGBTQ equality. And that is from the Human Rights Campaign. So they take something, so a company that has a lot of employees can take something called the Corporate Equality Index, and they ask questions about the enumeration of your policies. They'll ask about the physical space. They'll ask about your registration form. So kind of what Lisa Koenecke's talking about, they wrap that all up into one little package right there. Because my friends, it's so important. If we want to save lives like I do, all it takes is one supportive adult, just one, to reduce suicide attempts in the LGBTQ plus community by 40%. 40. I did that in my TED Talk. And it's so important to know of the older population. And when I say older, I'm talking, you know, past high school. So it could be college, it could be early adulthood, 18 to 25, also 18 to 40. If we have friends who are trans, and if they are not accepted, there's so much homelessness that goes on. So many of our friends in that population are dying, whether they're shot or they're taking their own lives. Drugs, unsafe sex, all of those things are out there. So again, you, my friends, one simple word, you know, just by saying hi to someone and asking them if they're, you know, tell me more about that if they want to share. If you're a safe person, they'll know that right away. So speaking of being safe, what I want to do is to tell you that there's a phenomenal association out there called the Trevor Project, or trevor.org. If you're not familiar with this, it is the nation's leading suicide prevention hotline, text line, and chat line for those who identify as LGBTQ+. And you look in the middle there and it says quick exit. If there is anyone who is maybe looking up this information and maybe someone walks in, it could be a parent, it could be a supervisor, it could be a teacher, who knows what it is. And they're like, oh, it's not safe. All they have to do is hit the escape button 3 times. This screen goes away, as well as the browser history. And that is important because when I was a middle school counselor, my second year, I had a 7th grade student come into my office, knocked on the door, sat down. Miss Koenecke, it's easier pretending to be a boy than it is to be gay in this town. So I was 40 years old at the time, wasn't out, and I saw my orange Trevor pen on my desk. And I was like, oh, I have to do something. Went home that night, talked to my wife, and I said, I have to come out. And she's like, well, of course you do. And I said, I might get fired. And she said, that's okay. You have to do that. You have to come out for the student. So I went to school the next day, found the student, confidentially, of course, thanked the student. And I said, I have something to tell you. The student said, yeah. I said, I'm gay. Student looked at me. No duh, Miss Koenecke. We all knew that already. So there you go. So I think I saved that kid's life because they graduated with honors and they're doing great things. They are a rainbow in someone else's cloud. So as you think about this, my friends, it's not homework. It's just something to think about of how do you show, and you don't have to answer this question. This is rhetorical. How do you show your allyship? Now, this is LGBT specific, but you could even do this for people who are living in the disability population, someone who is in non-majority religion. You get the idea. So that you can shift mindsets and perceptions. If you stop a homophobic or a transphobic joke from happening and just say that's not cool, you have just changed your trajectory. And maybe you need to boot some people out of your inner circle if they're being toxic. Hello, family members. Okay, so I'm not like the gay family, but like actual biological family members. And if you have the opportunity, my friends, to shape policies and procedures, please do so. Please take the action. Please ask the questions. And so this is a book that I wrote for that student. because what I wanted is I wanted resources all in one place. Letters A through Z about how to become an inclusion ally. So it's just A is for ally, B is bisexual, C is cisgender, which I am, by the way, CISGENDER. That is meaning that I was assigned female at birth. I still identify as female, cisgender. And I have lots and lots of resources that are in there. They're fun. Here is my little QR code. If you want to, please go ahead and take a picture of that. Jennifer, here's how I can get the presentation to people. So if you want to, my friends, please say that you saw this presentation. And then when I get home from Texas, I will be sure to send it to you with my little QR code right there. And then that's just my picture that I have over there. Jennifer, do you know how exciting this is? I'm done 5 minutes early.
I am amazed and super excited about all of this. And I wanted to mention too that next week, there will be an email from Shivy, and she will invite you to share your presentation, and then she will share all of them out in an email with everyone who has attended as well. So that's one other way. So all of you who put in your email addresses and ask to receive the presentation, that will be one other way that you can get it as well. And so let me see, we do have a question here.
We do, and sorry, and before, and I know someone else raised their hand. Now, if you have a confidential, so sorry, Jennifer, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but if your question is confidential and you don't want it recorded, then either take my information and reach out to me individually, or maybe we can stop the recording. I don't know, Jennifer, how you do that, but I don't want anyone to put out sensitive information.
Understood.
Or if the question is, hey, Lisa, are you really this funny in real life? Then the answer is yes. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Well, there are lots of great comments along those lines. Let's see. So give me just a second to read the question. And I think this is, yeah. So asking for advice for Lori, and for all of us. Do you have any advice for getting non-supporters on board in the workplace? I teach at a small rural community college, and progress has definitely been made in the last 10 years, but there is still a lot of resistance or just the general feeling that it is too, quote, woke and not appropriate for our community.
Great question. So, and Jennifer, did that come from Lori? Is that what I heard?
Yes, from Lori.
Excellent. Hey, Lori, you're on the line with Lisa K, your everyday gay. What a great question. So growing up in a rural community, what I would love for you to do, my friend, if you have the time, is to think about who are in the community, not just at your setting where you are, but in your community. Who are your friends that are out there? Not just your friends, but do you have a local business that can be supportive? Is there maybe not a faith institution that would be supportive? If you can kind of triangulate in that community, maybe the mayor's office, maybe there's somebody there, or if you're in a county seat, because if you can come in with strength, that it's not just from our university, our community college, whatever it is, trying to be woke, as you said, you might gain more traction that way. That's one way to do that. The other thing to think about too is what other causes do the people rally around in your small rural community? Usually it's cancer. And I'm not saying that to be Debbie Downer on this one, but what I'm saying is that if you can remind people that we're all different, even though I grew up in Lily White, Wisconsin, there's diversity that's out there. And some people have had heartache. Some people have had loss. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could rally as a community around our young people who might be questioning what's going on, rather than pointing fingers to say, you know what, we want our youth to come back and work in this community so that it doesn't turn into a dust bowl or unincorporated. So how can we support whatever's happening? So maybe you start with a Relay for Life, and then you start getting a little bit more, a little bit deeper into what other causes can we talk about. So that's what I would do. And Lori, if you have other questions, do feel free, take a picture of the QR code and we can kind of go from there. Great question. Jennifer, any more?
No more questions, just lots of thanks and positive responses and gratefulness, and yes, all of those.
I'm sorry, I just quickly glanced at it. Christy, I'm sorry I made you spit out your coffee. I don't know what story I was telling, but my apologies, and I hope that no animals were hurt in that spitting.
Oh, your newscaster impersonation.
Oh. Thanks, Christy. That's what I have to do to keep my grad students awake because, you know, they worked a full-time job and they probably have somebody at home that they're taking care of. So that's why I let them drink wine out of their coffee cup. Okay.
We do have one more question.
Yes.
So from an anonymous attendee, they're asking,
Yeah.
at the university I'm at, I've seen a focus on inclusive identity for students, but not for employees. How do we get universities to recognize that employees are just as important?
Absolutely. And without the employees, you won't have any students. So that's a really good question.
Mm.
So one of the things that you can do is if you go to hrc.org, there is an 85-page, yep, I said this, but it's free. It is a trans inclusion toolkit for the workplace. Now I say trans because that's where we need to really dig our feet in. I mean, people get the gay and they get the lesbian and all that stuff, but start there. If human resources realizes that there could be a lawsuit if we don't do what we need to do, then they'll probably get on board. And I'm not trying to be mean when I say that, but there are resources out there. There's the National Center for Transgender Equality that has a lot of frequently asked questions. And I know I'm just whipping this stuff off top of my head, but a lot of it is in my book, or you can find stuff on my website. So I would say find the champions at your workplace. Again, it's very similar to, I think it was Lori in the small community. Just start at the grassroots and ask the questions if you can. So that would be a great place to start.
Thank you, Lisa. And Dr. Griffin shared that this has been awesome and hilarious and one of the best sessions of the day. And I think she sums up a lot of comments that have been in the question and answer with that. So.
Oh, I just got goosebumps. Thank you. If anybody wants to do a little, promotional, little video for me, do feel free to do that. You might get a free book. I'm just saying.
Well, whoever scheduled you at the 3 o'clock slot was genius. I don't know if you told them to do that, but
I know. I do get the people after lunch. It's super fun.
Well, Lisa, our time is finished. If everyone is more comments coming in, thank you for an awesome, uplifting, and informative presentation from Paula and lots of people. Yes, that energy. Wonderful. Thank you, Lisa, and congrats on the book. Yes, lots and lots of thanks coming in over here.
And last thing, Jennifer, if I can, I've also made the book into an audiobook, and my plan is to give it to all of the schools of the blind so that they have it in their library. So again, this rainbow on the cover does save lives. So that's what it's all about, my friends.
Brilliant, brilliant. I love it. And so just one more reminder that all of you who asked for the presentation, Shivy Williams will be collecting those next week, and then she will send those out to all of the attendees in the next couple of weeks. So just want to thank everyone for attending and participating in the Building Inclusive Gender Expansive Communities session. And I'm going to share my screen here one more time. And I also want to thank everyone for attending our GUIDE conference today. I thank all of our presenters, our performer for lunch, and everyone that supported the programming and was engaged and participated today. We just thank you so much and hope that you've had a fantastic Friday and a great weekend ahead.
Thank you, everyone.
And sorry, Christina, when will the recording be ready? It will be in the next couple of weeks since we have a Thanksgiving holiday next week here.